are we feeling an impact? So we have been able to record that the inflation was recorded at 0.0%. So internally, like you saw, there are so many divisions. So others went up, others went down, so they balanced out and gave us a 0.0%. So in general, there was a 0.0% increment of price on a monthly basis. So you will not feel the impact from what you spent last month. You will still spend the same when it came to this month of October. But then in September 2025, we recorded the monthly inflation at 0.5. So you see these figures are relatively small because it's a small time period that we are referring to. And prices rarely change it that much unless there is a factor. So we go there, measure, and bring you what exactly is on the ground. So that is what we got. And the influencers are, we have the monthly food crop. So you will see some going up and others going down. So later they balance out. So when we look at the monthly food crops and related items inflation, this was recorded at minus 0.2% compared to 4.5% that was recorded in September 2025. So when we talk about the monthly food crops and related items, we have some indicators like dried beans that are part of the food crops and related items decreased by 1.8%. So that means last month and this month, the person who bought beans last month bought them slightly more expensive than they did this month. This month the dried beans have been relatively cheaper than last month. And in September we recorded these dried beans at minus 2.5%. So when it comes to the sweet potatoes, we had a decrease of 2.2% in this October compared to the minus 13.7% recorded in September 2025. For the tomatoes, this month we had a minus 10.9% compared to last month, where we had a 20.8%. And I think all of you have been noting it. For the people who buy things at home, tomatoes have been on season this month. And there have been quite many, and the law of demand and supply. Once they are many and they are durable, they are not durable, they are very perishable. So the prices tend to come down. So they came down by minus 10.9 compared to last month, just September this September that I just ended. When we talk about pineapples, pineapple prices also decreased by 12.3% when we compare to the prices of pineapples of last month. And then in September we recorded 34.0%. Now we talk about the monthly COA. What happened in the monthly COA? So still in the monthly COA we recorded a 0.0%. So this 0.0% is compared to the 0.1% that we got in October. So you can clearly see that within the COA inflation, we have both services inflation and COA goods inflation. So you can see when it comes to services inflation, we recorded a 0.2% in October. Then when you look at the COA goods inflation, we recorded a minus 2%. That is how one goes up, another goes down, so we end up with zero inflation overall for the monthly inflation. So that is what you can see there clearly. So when we throw more lights inside the services inflation, so we had the inflation of education that this changed by 1.8, increased by 1.8%. Compared to the 0.0% that was for September. So we all know that our children went to school last month. The schools opened, but they opened slightly after our data collection period. So that's why that inflation was, that price change was brought to this month. So we recorded a 1.8% increment in the inflation of education services this month. So when you see the restaurants and accommodation services inflation, for the people who eat in restaurants, who don't eat at home, who go somewhere to find a meal. So in this inflation of where you go to find the meals, within just 1 month, it has increased by 0.3% compared to the 0.1% that we recorded last month. 689. So you see, from last year, maize flour was slightly cheap, but currently it is very expensive. Now, on the maize flour itself, let's look at a shorter period of time price change. When you look at last month's price of maize flour, it was 2,781. So last month, maize flour was expensive, but this month it is becoming cheaper at 2,689. But yet last year it was very cheap. So I want us to get the difference of the long period change and the short period change. Anything can happen. One can go up and another goes down. So others you will see as you get the reports. So ladies and gentlemen, at this particular time I would want to introduce you to the centers or our region's performances in this inflation. Those that had the highest inflation. So the one that was number 1 was Kampala High Income, which registered an inflation of 4.9% in October 2025, compared to the 5.7% recorded in September 2025. And the influencers of this were mainly education services that increased to 8.9% in October, compared to the 6.7% registered in September 2025. And in addition, clothing and footwear inflation increased by 5.7% in October, compared to the 5.4% that was recorded in September. So that was Kampala High Income. And then the second one was Masaka. Masaka registered an inflation of 4.1%, compared to the 4.7% that was recorded in September 2025. And the main influencers of the Masaka inflation was the transport inflation that increased to 2.3% in October 2025, compared to the 1.6% registered in September 2025. Still, the clothing and footwear in Masaka contributed an increase of 3.3% in October 2025, compared to the 2.4% registered in September 2025. So the region or the center that had the least inflation was Bale, that registered an inflation of 0.6%, compared to the 0.4% that was recorded in September 2025.
The annual price changes, what was recorded for the September 2025 compared to what was there for September 2024. On an annual basis, as a period of 12 months, we are seeing our index recorded at 0.4% for the year that is September 2025. The inflation was recorded at 0.4% in the year that is September 2025. This was compared to the 0.7% increase that was registered for the year that is August 2025. Please note that even if it was recorded at 0.4%, this was still an increase. However, the increase was at a slow pace if you compare with September 2020, with what was recorded for August 2025. The main contributors of that change of 0.4% increase, we had construction of buildings. Materials that go into construction of buildings had an increase of 0.4% for the year that ended September 2025, compared to a 0.6% increase that was registered for the year that ended August 2025. Civil engineering works also had their index rise of 0.4% for September 2025, compared to 0.7% increase that was registered for August 2025. Specialized construction activities had its index recorded at the change recorded at 0.5% for the year that ended September 2025, compared to 0.7% increase that was registered for August 2025. Graphically, this is what I've been saying. We are seeing our index trying to relax the rate at which it is increasing by 0.4% for September 2025, compared to a 0.7% increase that was registered for August 2025. The main contributors to that stable change following from the decline that was registered for August 2025, we had construction of buildings for September. They registered a stable rate compared to a decrease that was registered for August 2025 of 0.1%. Specialized construction activities also had their prices stable compared to a decrease of 0.1% that was registered for August 2025. These are lines trying to show what is happening. We are seeing specialized activities going up. Materials that cause specialized activities, their prices are going up, together with what goes into construction of buildings. However, civil engineering works, prices that materials that go into civil engineering works, their prices are going down. This is what I've been saying, just in a table form. We are saying the index on a monthly basis is at 0.0%, the change. Then let's look at the change in materials on a monthly basis. Those that had notable price increase, we had sand on a monthly basis. Sand had its prices go up by 1% in the month of September 2025, compared to a decrease of 0.5% that was registered for August 2025. Clay bricks and tiles also had their prices go up by 0.1% in the month of September 2025, compared to a stable rate that was registered for August 2025. Eucalyptus crops also had their prices go up by 1.1% September 2025, compared to a stable rate that was registered for August 2025. On another hand, we had also some prices that went up for materials. We had paints and varnishes on a monthly basis. For the month of September, paints and varnishes had their price go down by 0.2% compared to the same magnitude change that was registered for August 2025. Ceramic wall and floor tiles also had their prices go down by 0.1% September 2025 compared to the stable rate that was registered for August 2025. Iron, steel, or aluminum plates were similar. They also had their prices go down by 0.1% in September 2025 compared to the stable rate that was registered before for August 2025. Thank you so much for listening. Let's meet again on 28th August, November 2025, sometime. For the increase in sand, you had sand painted out. When it is a rainy season, sometimes it's hard for trucks to go into these quarries, and therefore the transport costs shoot up. That is put on the end person who is going to pay. So we have our prices go up. We also had prices that went down, we talked about them. However, this I should say with the collecting raw materials. Most times when the dollar goes down, brings down also the cost of the raw materials. And that effect is added into the prices. We see some of the suppliers having their price go down.
Fuel prices have a different lineup of reasons. And remember, in inflation we have what we call imported inflation. When prices go down from where the item is coming from, even here they will slightly go down. And if they go higher, even here they will go higher. So there are very many reasons, and also the dynamics of fuel are a bit different. There are bodies like the body that took up the Uganda fuel also influenced the prices. The dollar rate influences the fuel. So there are very many reasons as to why we are seeing prices of fuel coming down. But it's a whole study. You see all those factors are affecting. So it needs a study such that you know which factor is heavier, is the big boss. Could it be the new body that is taking up under the Ministry of Energy? Could it be the dollar rate only? So it's a study, but as to what we measured, that is the exact value, and it shows a drop in the prices of fuel. The decrease of some items that are not, you're used to the seasonal items, I think like food items going down, prices going down, but now you're seeing durable items like electronics, fridges, and coming down. I hope I got that right. But I also want you to take note that we also have seasonality when it comes to some of these items. So it will depend, and they are normally bought more in certain seasons of the year. That's when you see things like Black November, doing this and that. So many discounts coming up here and there. And we should be very careful as consumers. Some of them might not be true decrements, but we shall always give you the facts when it comes to this. We have what we call disguised price changes and so many things. So you may think there has been a decrease when actually there is no decrease. But what we give here is what is actually on the ground. The perspective is a different. Someone can make you think that there has been a price reduction when there has been none. So we shall always be here to give you the correct and actual figures as they come. When someone was asking, people don't feel the pinch with the inflation. You will feel the pinch when you have a fixed amount of money. Like you have, most especially the ladies, when your usual Kameza money is 10,000 shillings, you have a ceiling in which to touch. For example, if you leave your wife every day with 20,000, and they are supposed to buy lunch, supper, all the ingredients from that 20,000. And when you leave, you say, I want to eat meat, because you are the man of the house. I want to eat meat. And you want the children to enjoy, so it is a kilo. And because you have your rice, you think you will find food at home. You will give the lady 20,000, and she will just boil the meat, maybe even without salt. Because the money will get finished in only the meat. So you will feel the pinch there. But if you have enough money and maybe it is unlimited, you touch from a pocket that doesn't dry, you will never feel the pinch. But once you have a fixed budget, you will feel the pinch. And you will get to know what the inflation is. And then that's when we have consumer behaviors like item substitution. In most cases, when you feel the pinch here, the consumer is a very funny and interesting character. When he feels the pinch here, he changes the angle. When he goes to the market and finds the beef at 20,000, the consumer is very interesting. He will now say, I will not handle. Let the